Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Future scientists and engineers. Welcome to F. It is I, your host, Phoenix, and welcome to the show where we talk about, where we ask intelligent questions and discuss them and answer them in the least intelligent way possible. Today we are joined by Funny Meme, IT guy who is currently not here just yet. And in case if you still don't know what our show is about, we take a random question, mostly F questions, and discuss the possibilities and outcomes. And usually the question is intelligent or something. So yeah, there's that. Hey, I actually did my intro correctly for once.
Yay!
Normally I usually end up doing the wrong intro. So yay!
Yay!
Anyways, today's topic, I hope you guys find this one interesting. Is today's topic is inspired by the Biosphere 2, which is one of the largest science experiments ever conducted. It's still here. It's located in Arizona. You guys can go visit it if you want. Not sponsored, by the way. Anyways, the question is, what if
we're too small?
We were to build.
We're not a big channel to be sponsored.
Yeah, we're not big. Yeah, we're not big enough to be sponsored, anyways. So there's no doubt on that part. So the question is, what if we were to build an artificial biosphere, as in localized terraforming, instead of a closed dome or something, on Mars? What will it take for it to become self-sufficient to a point where people can just completely leave it alone for a few years, come back, and it will be perfectly fine, and also self-sufficient in a way that people can live in it, in a stable population can live in it for an extended period of time without major external interference. So
who knows?
Anyways, just to give a bit of additional background when it comes to the idea of artificial biosphere, the original experiment's goal was to create an environment which humans can survive in, an artificial environment which humans can survive in for an extended period of time with zero outside contact. The experiment ultimately failed due to lack of oxygen production due to the lack of greens and as well as the lack of space for actual agriculture farming, as well as a bunch of other factors. The experiment ultimately failed and shut down. But in our case, we're trying to think of ways to make this experiment a success, and for it to be able to run on Mars.
Probably.
Hopefully, anyways.
First of all, construction's a bitch.
Also, just another thing. Just a quick disclaimer. This discussion is going to be at elementary level, basically elementary to high school level. It's not going to be Stephen Hawking level, or any major scientist level. We're not that smart. We're smart, but we're not that smart. So yeah, that's just a.
I wouldn't even say we're smart.
We're semi-intelligent.
We know enough to have a decent idea, but we're still dumb enough to make this entertaining.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, let's begin.
Okay. Well, first things first. How will we even construct this thing? How big does it need to be? And if it gets big enough, how will it support itself?
Okay. To answer that first question, I think we should take a look at the original Biosphere 2. I currently have it pulled up right here. You guys should be able to see on the live stream. Let me just quickly go over here. There we go. I'm not too, actually. Let me see if map. Okay. I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea where the actual maps are, but
that's just the.
This is your homepage. One moment, just let me take a look at this.
There, no.
Biosphere 2 area. How? Okay. Biosphere 2 have about this much cubic feet under sealed glass, as in usable space by the inhabitants, and the space we can actually build Biosphere as part of the original Biosphere 2. So about this much space and 91 feet at highest point. So this is what the original Biosphere 2 was.
It needs to be much
It
bigger.
needs to be much bigger, at least 3 or 4 times, if you were to ask me. Since we plan on building it on Mars, things actually gets a bit easier in terms of making things bigger due to the reduced gravity. Mm-hmm. So that's a good sign.
We basically need to make it big enough to be its own ecosystem.
Yep, and
where everything can be contained within it. It's probably going to need to be at least 4 or 5 kilometers big.
Anyways, I'm going to quickly grab a drink so that my throat doesn't dry out. And
yeah,
you should have done this before the stream, Phoenix.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I kind of need to do that too, but I'll wait until he gets back.
Okay. So it needs to be at least 4 to 5 kilometers large, just to contain a basic ecosystem.
Okay, I'm back with a can of Coca-Cola, still not sponsored. I wonder why.
You don't need to have to say that.
Yeah. Anyways,
it needs to be at least 4 to 5 kilometers big.
In terms of
bare minimum.
In terms of diameter.
In terms of land inside, yes.
So square kilometers.
Yeah, exactly. At least that's just for basics. Because if it's way too small, you're not gonna be able to support enough big enough ecosystem to keep itself stable.
All right, in that case, then let me just quickly set up a comparison thing to see how big is the difference in terms of land areas. Let me just quickly do a thing.
Okay, I'm back.
To acres. Okay. 1 square kilometer is already It's already a lot bigger than the research facility.
It's gonna be at least. It needs to be at least that big because a force is not going to become self-sustaining within a single kilometer. It's just not big enough.
The crap? One moment. This is odd. There we go.
That made it worse. That's not helping. That just made it too.
No, I'm splitting the screen so that you can see see some difference in terms of facts, some difference in terms of data.
Yeah, exactly.
So a single square kilometer is already a lot bigger than the research facility, and we're going for how many kilometers again?
4 to 5 at minimum.
Let's go with 4 on the conservative side. So we're gonna have a dome that's about 4 kilometers in diameter. Okay. Let me just. Okay.
Fair warning. That's a rough estimate.
That's a rough estimate, but we think that we're at least gonna need that much space. One thing I remember about Biosphere 2 from class was the Biosphere 2 project was divided into multiple greenhouse sections to simulate multiple different ecosystems. One of which is supposed to be a simulated ocean for absorbing carbon dioxide.
Oh.
Well, that's gonna go very well. Using Earth as an example, we probably need at least 3 square kilometers of 3 square kilometer of water.
You probably get away with a bit less than that.
We can probably get away with maybe 2.5, but
even then,
even then
if
that'd
we're
be a lot.
say we're going for a forest, as an example, it's a good baseline. Lots of plant life, lots of animal
to
life.
make things similar, maybe we'll simulate a jungle terrain and a Mediterranean terrain. We're not gonna bother with desert because that's kind of useless.
No, desert. Yeah, exactly.
So it's a 3 main biosphere ecosystems that we're gonna have to try to support, while be
a lake ecosystem,
lake
a forest
/
ecosystem?
Ocean.
No, it's gonna be lake because freshwater.
Oh, actually lake / ocean, because we still might want some kind of saltwater system going, because well, it's complicated.
Saltwater system would be counterproductive to it.
Okay, so a lake, freshwater.
Yeah, it's gonna be one. You're gonna want freshwater.
Freshwater.
Because remember, this is gonna be for farming.
Yeah, it's just gonna be purely for keeping people alive. So a lake freshwater system, a forest, well, not just forest, Mediterranean climate, a Mediterranean climate area.
Yep. So you have good farming year round.
How do I even spell that?
I don't know. Here, let me look it up. I was on the right tab.
There we go. Got it. Mediterranean. Mediterranean and yeah, I already got it. Mediterranean and probably some sort of tropical.
Tropical, not so much, because that's not very good conditions to grow crops in.
It's not a very good condition to grow crops, but there are important things that we rely on that only grows in tropical conditions.
Coffee?
Yeah, such as coffee, cocoa beans, and quite a few different spices, I believe, and certain medicinal plants that we use to extract certain chemicals from. Vanilla, I think, is another one of them. So these are.
So this is all of our extra stuff. This is like medical and to make everything taste good.
Yeah, the additional important stuff. So these are the 3 primary things.
Not vital. It's not vital, but it's good.
Also as to actual farming and stuff. The actual farming part of things, we might actually have additional greenhouses outside of the biospheres themselves.
But yeah, also for the biosphere, I can't remember what it's called. When they use fish when they combined a fishing, or when they combine farming fish and plants.
Okay, yes, fish and plant is a very big thing. Remember how we how the lake / freshwater section is going to be about 2.5 kilometer a kilometer squared at least, and in terms of the surface area, it's also going to need to be quite deep to be able to harbor a large and sustainable population of fish. Remember that.
Yeah, it's going to need to be able to contain quite a bit of fish.
That's going to be very important. And with all likelihood, this is not going to be the only biosphere that we're going to build, if we were to ever get to the point of having to build biospheres on Mars, or even wanting to build biospheres on Mars. We're going to build lots of them. Period. So moving that forward, if I remember correctly, in the original Biosphere experiment, oxygen was a massive issue.
Yeah, that's where the forest comes in, produces oxygen from the trees.
But the thing is, they're likely not going to be able to produce anywhere as much oxygen as what is actually needed or being consumed for uh, anything. So we're likely also going to need some sort of oxygen scrubber in addition to what we're the
If you add an oxygen scrubber, it no longer becomes self-sustaining. So we once again need to increase the size.
So we need to either once again increase the size, make it even bigger and even harder to build, or use some sort of solar powered oxygen scrubbers that only activates once in a while when things gets way too bad.
But then again, that completely defeats the purpose of self-sustaining. No outside interference.
Again, that's what's the original experiment. In this case, the goal
that's what this entire thing is.
Okay, when I introduced this, I said minimal external interference because I know that completely no interference would be near impossible.
Well, at that point, you might as well just terraform the entire planet.
Yeah, because at that point, if you want to make it entirely self-sustained, you might as well terraform the entire planet. That's kind of like, not exactly cost efficient.
But then again, we get an entire planet out of it, so.
So in the long term, it'll eventually pay for itself, but we don't really work that well in terms of long term. So yeah. So in the but again, we just need to be able to run on its own alone for an extended period of time without any human interference. It might not need to run oxygen scrubber to keep the oxygen level at a safe level.
Exactly.
If there's no humans in that.
Yeah, as long as the animals are small, like as long as it's just like insects.
As long as we just
like
keep
say bees.
as well as very basic livestock that won't explode in population if we're gonna keep if we're gonna keep insects and stuff and as well as animals, we're also gonna need to introduce their natural predator and basically rebuild an entire ecosystem.
And that's what the hard part comes in. Because
getting all the species there.
Ooh, that's gonna be a fun one.
Since loading animals.
I hate to be the guy who'd have to transport all that onto the shuttle.
Yeah, same here. It might be a little bit easier with BFR once that comes out,
but not yet.
Not yet. So we've gotten that far. This far.
The show must go on.
So
let's see, what else?
I've been thinking about a few of our bigger problems, like, are we even going to be able to grow food on Martian soil, and how are we going to make oxygen?
That's the thing. The soil is going to have to be imported.
Yeah, that's the thing. In theory,
until we can.
In theory,
go ahead, Phoenix.
In theory, we can grow food. They've done it in Martians the movie, and scientists have confirmed that it's definitely doable. But the thing is, till we can actually create a sustainable food source entirely based on Mars, we will have to continuously import food from Earth.
Yeah, and the biggest issue, really, is the fact that the soil just isn't all that good for growing plants because there's almost no nutrients in it.
And the only way, and even in the movie, the only way that he was able to get the potatoes to grow was put shit in it.
Which you'd have to do, actually.
Which we will actually have to do.
But until we can get a stable ecosystem going, the ground's going to be absolute crap. So we're going to have to import the first, bunch of soil in there to make it actually possible.
And another thing is we will be importing a lot of biomass.
Mm-hmm.
And that lot
to make it even possible to use.
Yeah. Oh, also another thing. In case if one of you want to try this yourself, there's a game on Steam that will allow you to try what is the closest to what we're trying to do here. It's called Surviving Mars. You might have heard of it. Again, I don't think I need to say it, but yeah.
Stop saying not sponsored.
Yep, we all get the drill now. Good. Yeah. In case if any one of you are interested, if anyone is even watching, is anyone? Oh,
I'm watching.
Yeah, 3 people. Yeah. Yay.
I'm watching.
Yay.
I think that that one girl I mentioned, I think she's still watching. Maybe.
She's not been bored out of her mind yet.
Yeah, if you're still here, please say something.
Please put something in chat. Please let us know that you're not bored out of your mind.
We'll try to be. We'll try.
We'll try to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll try to be interesting. Something. Emergency Rickroll, quick!
No, that's just gonna put people away.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. Do it.
Fine.
There we go.
Oh, you muted him?
Yeah, I'm randomly muting and unmuting him. Okay, there we go. There's our emergency rickroll done. Okay, keep moving forward.
I forgot the keybind to I forgot the keybind to stop it.
Lol. Anyways, moving forward.
Did you just say lol out loud?
Lol. Yes, I did. Anyways, moving forward. They moved me out of the discussion room.
Oh, I was reading up on something as y'all were going on, and I found something called mock. It's basically like, all right. So what it does is it collects carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere, and then electrochemically splits the carbon dioxide molecules.
So basically, through a process similar to electrolysis, like how we do to water to split oxygen and hydrogen, but with carbon dioxide. Post it in open discussion if you want. That's a very useful reference.
Yeah.
Very important. Thank you. Post it in
if you do that, you could produce oxygen. You could produce oxygen, and that solves our oxygen problem if you have enough of those.
Yeah. That solves our main issue with oxygen as far as humans are concerned.
Our next issue is how are we going to keep the ecosystem in balance without absolutely fucking it up?
That is going to be very difficult since, remember, one of the things that we humans are best at is fucking things up.
Yep.
Both literally and figuratively.
I mean, we could just have a ratio, like, for every, X amount of whatever livestock for food, have one predator.
That specially hunts, in the wilderness, quote unquote, areas, anyways.
Wilderness. Wilderness.
The Minecraft faction terms. Anyone remember those days?
Yep.
So the idea of a self-balancing ecosystem of having predators and prey that will control each other's numbers. In a way.
A few issues with that, though. Such a confined area. If you introduce too many separate predators for too many separate things, territory fights are coming up.
Yeah, territory fights is going to be painful to...
Which is going to be fun, considering it's such a small area.
And a bit painful to work with.
Not to mention breeding.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff you have to.
In that case, we might have to step up the area to a lot more than a lot more than 4 square kilometers. And the easy way for us to do that is to have multiple biospheres linked together via some kind of biotunnel thing, which that seems normal.
We have to keep the animals inside ignorant that they're in a cage.
As long as they don't look up and see the Martian sky, they'll be fine. We'll be fine. And the triangular thingy glass thing.
Another fun thing that we're gonna have to do. We're going to have to make it so they can actually survive the journey.
Oh yeah, that's another very important thing. I do not want to be the engineer who have to worry about that part.
I've got it. Spawn it.
What?
Actually, that is a valid point. In Interstellar, they were planning on colonizing the other planets by bringing basically human fetuses that are going to be cultivated and be directly birthed on the planet. We could, in effect, do something like that.
Yeah, so we take frozen embryos, take them to the planet, grow them there, and then release them into the habitat.
So we're gonna have to figure out some way to train them into their natural instincts and stuff. To allow their natural instincts to be able to properly take over, or else it's gonna take multiple generations for them to be able to even get to a point where they're normally survivable.
And then that's when we have to take specialized animals. Build a spacesuit for a wolf.
the space wolf. To be fair, we have.
We've already put dogs in space.
We can do that with their cousins.
Yep.
Well, I guess. Yeah, close enough. So
they're distant cousins.
They're very distant. They're very distant cousins.
Yeah, I mean, hey, as long as you take them from like Alabama or something, it wouldn't really matter.
Yep. It'll be fine. It'll be a-okay.
Yes. Yes, it will.
However, I think one issue that we've been slightly neglecting so far would be the radiation.
I was actually just about to ask that. Like, how would
radiation shields? It's not that hard. Radiation shields.
Gotta get a bunch of lead.
Line the windows with lead. Or put lead in the windows.
Or just don't have windows and just make.
You need windows.
You need windows to get light through, unless you want to use entirely artificial lighting.
that brings up the issue of power generation.
Which we are not going to go into.
We don't want to tangle with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something for smarter people.
Yeah. The power generation part is going to be for the external, not so self-sustaining part once humans get introduced to the environment. Because we fuck things up.
I mean, we could perfectly easily make a self-sustaining environment which we can't enter. But as soon as we enter the picture, everything becomes 10 times more complicated.
Yeah.
Humans we need to have everything just right.
Otherwise, we all die.
And it's very hard to get things just right because every time we try to fix the issues, we fuck things up.
We try to fix something, we break something else. Then we fix that issue, we break 3 other things. It's just like programming.
Moving on.
Moving on. In terms of the radiation issue, I actually have multiple other solutions besides lead-lined windows. One of which would be, well, it's similar to that, but we're not using lead for obvious reasons. The toxicity and stuff, and decay, and the toxic lead waste falling everywhere. Maintenance is going to be a pain in the ass. With that in mind. So moving on to the next part, the exterior of the structure, which we have seriously neglected.
That's not happening. It doesn't matter how good of a constructor you are. That amount of steel, or even aircraft grade aluminum, is gonna collapse immediately from its own weight.
On the bright side, we're on Mars, so we have slightly less gravity.
Even with the reduced gravity, from the sizes we keep making, it's gonna need to be at least, from what I'm assuming, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So until we figure out an actual size, we won't know if it would ever. Not to mention, you also have to deal with debris, windstorms. You have to make it big enough, strong enough to resist even small impacts, small continuous impacts over years.
Yeah, which is going to be a serious issue. But assuming we keep the domes in it under a nice and safe size, and just have multiple domes instead of increasing the size of a single dome, the structures themselves can be pretty much safe. But the issue is, again, you said impact, and another issue is dust. We're gonna have a lot of fun with cleaning dust out of the cracks. Oh good lord. One thing from the Surviving Mars game was tribal electric scrubbing. It's basically the whole static electricity thing where you rub a ruler against your hair and it starts picking up random stuff. It's basically that, following that idea.
As good as an idea that would be, it's just not practical with what we have now.
Yeah, it's a bit big. Not exactly practical, but still, it's a thing that could potentially be worked with. There is some solution for it. If any one of you watching have an idea, feel free to put it in the live chat or the open discussion channel right here.
The only issue is everything we're talking about here has already been discussed hundreds of other times trying to solve this exact same issue. So anything that crazy.
Yeah, we have some issues here, so yeah.
We're basically talking about theoretical science that none of us know anything about.
I think.
Yay!
I think we're missing a big issue here.
We're missing a lot of big issues.
Well,
like I said, we're talking about
probably like main issue number one. If we can't figure a way to deal with this, then we might as well scrap it.
What is it?
Human conflict.
Oh, that won't be an issue.
Uh-oh.
That won't actually be an issue if you really think about it.
If you have a bunch of scientific teams who know if you have conflict, everyone dies, no one's gonna fight. It's the same thing with mutually assured destruction. If we fight, we all die.
Like everyone who is going to be sent to live on this theoretical Martian colony is going to know we fight, we die. So they're not going to. So they're not going to fight until to the point where it's being built big enough to the point where small sections collapsing won't be too big of a deal.
And even then,
there's
not going to be scientific minds, so people aren't going to be fighting.
Yeah, even then, they're not going to be fighting. We're not sending militaries up there. International treaties and laws prohibits any armed conflicts outside of Earth.
Yeah, there are actual laws that keep people, countries from sending militaries.
That is it. So yeah, we fighting outside of Earth. That is not happening. China have made threats.
You may have minor disagreements here and there. Other than that, nothing.
Nothing big is going to happen. China have threatened and demonstrated that they are capable of shooting down satellites, but they will not actually shoot down any satellites. They've shot down one of their own to demonstrate that they can, but.
And if they do, you have the wrath of the United States or whatever country's satellite they shot.
And it's
actually a pretty big threat.
Yeah, as well as pretty much the rest of the world because, international treaties and stuff.
Yep.
You violate, you fucked up.
Imagine if that's how World War III started. China accidentally shooting down a satellite.
Oops.
No. Nobody likes anyone.
Yeah.
As long as there's more than one person alive, there's gonna be fighting.
Yeah. 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 That's pretty much.
Doesn't matter how close you are to that person. Just means you'll be fighting even more.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we got here in the first place. Anyways, moving forward, since as we've already established, there's no way for the biosphere to be perfectly self-sustaining, uh, especially on Mars, especially if we build it on Mars. What are some of the support structures that we need to build to keep it operational?
You're gonna have to make lots of facilities for monitoring the actual interior of the biosphere.
That is pretty much a given. So command and science lab offices, buildings. Presumably one lab for each biosphere dome.
At least.
And a command structure for maybe one command for every 2 or 3 labs.
And then you always have to have the master command.
Yeah, as well as the mission control, which, assuming we don't, if we have instantaneous communication by then, if the mission control might be on Earth, but if not, it's either going to be a station in orbit or a physical building on the ground.
Which is more likely to be a physical building on ground.
Yeah, it's more likely to be a physical building. I agree. And beyond that, since now we have introduced these stations and stuff,
and until the actual thing becomes self-sufficient, you're gonna have to have areas for the crewmen to live.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of hydroponics farms and stuff.
That's what I was looking for, hydroponics.
There you go. So lots of hydroponic farms to help feed the crewmen.
Yep.
And the biodomes have certain areas. It's going to have certain areas dedicated to producing very specialized crops that only grows in those conditions.
Yep.
That's pretty much going to be guaranteed. And even by the time we get to a fully self-sufficient point, at that point we might as well just build a colony around it and declare those areas national parks, well, planetary parks, and as well as specialized farming districts. At that point.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much our first look and our initial vision of what a human Mars would look like.
But let's switch it up a bit. Instead of Mars, let's say we do it on the moon.
Oh boy!
If we can.
Okay, that is going to be 10 times more difficult. But
I know, that's why I brought it up.
But here's the other thing. Getting oxygen wouldn't actually be that hard.
Because you're so close to Earth.
Number one, you're so close to Earth. Number two, you can siphon it out of the soil. Lunar soil have a lot of oxides. And by getting that oxide, if you can properly process them, you can get the oxygen out as well as the metal. Currently, there's lots of silicon, iron, and aluminum, and lots of other minerals on the moon that we need to build our civilization.
So the moon would be an amazing choice to start off with.
So would Mars. Mars also have those accommodations. But with the moon, it's actually better as a first step, because if we try to build it on the moon, we have a better chance to develop these technologies required to process these materials in a condition where fossil fuel is not available. Yeah. Because remember, all the current ways that we use to process these these resources requires fossil fuel.
So the moon would actually be a great place to learn space refinement.
Yep, the moon. Yep. So yeah, the moon would be a great place to start. which is why, in my personal opinion, it's a better idea for SpaceX to first set up a moon base first before setting up things up on Mars. But since our challenge is building a biosphere on the moon, we can't. Unlike Mars, we can't actually start by. Well, actually, even in the case of Mars, we still have to build some kind of support structure first. But on the moon, we need to build even more support structures, since even lower gravity and the radiation is a lot worse.
Radiation's worse, lower gravity, and then you have to watch out for meteors.
Yep, there's no atmosphere to burn them up.
And even on Mars, you'd have to watch out for meteors.
Yeah, on Mars, it's slightly better, but still not as well.
Still, it's not good.
It's still not good.
It's far from good.
Far from good. Like, one of the ideas, build a anti-meteor laser or missile defense system against meteors. I mean, even though those are technically weapons, but UN might give it a pass if it's just for defending against meteors.
Which is a very valid concern to have.
Yeah, which is very valid. Most likely place for it to be built is on the northern pole, on one of the craters in the northern pole, as northern or southern poles, as most scientists and engineers have agreed to be the best place to build the first lunar colony. Because inside of the crater you get consistent shade from the sun, so lower radiation and everything. As well as the top of the crater, is the edge of it, is a great place to build solar farms. So there's all that. Which would also means that the lunar biosphere, the lunar artificial biosphere, would have to use artificial lighting.
Yep. As otherwise it's gonna be nighttime all the time. And instead of the moon in the sky, we have the Earth in the sky.
In that case, does that mean that, well, in that case, should we put a giant mirror over it once everything's done, just so that we can? No.
No.
Oh.
No, we shouldn't. That's a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, right.
It really is.
It's kind of a safety hazard.
Also, Phoenix, if it was a full moon and you're on the moon, would a werewolf still transform?
Oh my. If you're on the moon,
that's a pretty.
And you're looking at Earth, is there gonna be like a waning Earth moon?
Exactly.
Full Earth. New
full
Earth?
season. That's a stun attack. Okay. I've been stunned. We'll have to save that question for another.
Okay.
We might have to save that question for another.
It's relevant. It's relevant. So you can't tell me it's not relevant.
Yeah, it is perfectly relevant. We might have to save it for another day, though.
Of course, we're gonna have to save it for another day. But even then, that's not enough to make a video on, especially when it's 2 hours long, or even an hour long.
Yeah. So.
But back on topic before I accidentally derailed it with a stunning question. So what would happen with what would happen with the animals on the moon? Because gravity.
Oh boy.
That would cause some serious deformities in animals.
Yeah, and probably a lot of issues. We don't even know
what something with Mars. Weaker gravity would absolutely fuck up an animal.
Yeah, the thing is, we have
their development.
Right now, we have no idea what would happen if a human is born in Mars, and so we would have even less idea as to what would happen if an animal is born on a in lower gravity than Earth.
They actually did a theory, if I can find it.
There are theories on it, but really, in truth, we don't really have a very good idea.
We don't have a good idea, but we do have an idea.
Let me see if I can. See if I can search some things up as well.
Here, yeah, I need to find this.
So the biosphere is supposed to sustain itself, right?
Be self-sustaining to a certain degree. It doesn't have to be fully self-sustaining because we all know that at that point we might as well build a planet.
So it just has to do enough to be able to, we could leave for a bit and everything would still be fine.
Yeah, we can leave for vacation to Alpha Centauri and be back to find it still operational. Maybe not to Alpha Centauri. There are lots of let's take a look at
Wow, there is quite a few studies on if it's possible to be born for a person to be born in space.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoying that drink?
It's not a drink.
There's gonna be a lot of issues. There's gonna be a lot of issues. For astronaut on the International Space Station, they have to regularly exercise to keep their muscle and bone in condition so for when they return to Earth. And
I'm just imagining a person who was born in space, never experiencing gravity, comes back down to Earth, entire body is just flattened because they don't have the strength to stand up.
Yeah.
Or they don't even know how to stand because they've always been floating.
Yeah, that's gonna be a major issue. So you see, we honestly have no idea. There's lots of proposed theory, lots of different ideas, but there's no actual studies for ethical and a bunch of other reasons. Also as to how you're going to get a pregnant woman up into space, as well as how are you going to get her pregnant in the first place. We're not going to go into that. We're going to keep this this is the furthest we're going to go. Sorry if any one of you had any ideas, but we're not doing the Expanse. Period.
Ha ha ha. Very funny.
Ha.
We're not doing Game of Thrones in space.
Oh, why not?
Well, number one, that's called the Expanse. Number two,
we're not sponsored.
Exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, beyond those totally not major issues. Okay, they are very major. They are very big and important.
They are of the very big importance.
So beyond those issues, what else do you think might pose an issue, and what do you think are some of the solutions that we could potentially implement?
That's what I've been thinking about. Let's see. What else?
Well, obviously we're gonna have all the same problems from Mars, but
diseases.
Oh, microgravity. How diseases will mutate in microgravity?
Exactly.
Well, so far, judging by what we've seen
space measles.
So far, judging by what we've seen on the International Space Station, we can assume that it shouldn't get too out of hand. So that's a good sign.
But what about if a disease mutates in space, somehow gets transferred to Earth? How would it fuck up our ecosystem? And if a disease gets transferred to Earth into space, where they have different diseases, because that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Well, one.
that's actually kind of why we're not allowed to just shoot trash up into space.
Yeah, that's one of the major reasons. There is technically.
Because we will give diseases to aliens. Oh no!
Like,
Disease to aliens!
Out there.
Okay, there actually is a I actually have a idea as to how we can keep that from becoming too big of an issue.
Hazmat suits all the time.
That's one. Number two is maintain constant contact. If
that is, that's going to be very hard when you're 2 years away at the minimum.
From the moon?
No, on Mars.
On Mars, 2 months.
You're 2 years away at the fastest you can possibly get there with our current tech.
Yeah, that's gonna be a bit of an issue, but that's going to be
a bit of an issue. No, that's a very big issue.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue.
We're not going to be able to constantly transfer new people back and forth.
Yeah.
People are going to go there.
Well, we could send scientific data between, and we do have the technology.
Scientific data is the only thing we'll be able to send between.
And again, we kind of have the technology to maybe replicate space bugs on Earth.
We're not that advanced yet.
Okay, in that case, then we can't do that.
As cool as that would be, we are not at that level yet.
Okay, maybe we can't. Sequence their genes, send their genes back. We do have
As Phoenix, right? We do, but they're not that advanced.
Fuck.
If only they were that advanced, that would be amazing. But they're not.
I mean, they can't. I mean, what about quarantine? When anyone is sent between quarantine for a while and tested for any mutated strands that may affect the Earth's biosphere.
Well, yeah, you'd have to quarantine, obviously, but that just comes with the territory of you have two entire separate ecosystems.
Actually,
Phoenix.
Actually, let's just take a moment and assume that we have everything solved. How would life evolve, let's say, 10,000 years into the future after we've managed to get everything set up perfectly?
Quite a bit of loss of muscle mass.
Like, how different would the animals that are now indigenous to the Martian artificial biosphere be to that of the animals we have on Earth?
Depending on how much we interfere, there's probably going to be loss of muscle mass. There's probably going to be increase in resistance against radiation. And animals are going to be, especially plants, are going to be able to process stuff in the actual Martian soil and in the radiation from the sky better.
And another thing is probably the animals are just going to be larger in general. Because of the whole reduced gravity, they can get a lot larger.
Yep.
Although, since we're gonna have people constantly manning the place, I suspect that over the years we're gonna have an active effort of preventing them from getting too large.
Keeping animals close to their base genome.
Yeah. Keeping them smaller. So that
Yeah, so we don't have things like dire wolves popping up.
Yeah, that's kind of dire wolves would kind of suck though.
They would be cool, but they'd be extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
It's like a bear, but faster and stronger.
Yeah. Actually, a completely indigenous a dire wolf completely indigenous to Mars versus a wolf from Earth. Who would win?
The wolf would run away. Because it would be intimidated.
Assuming that they're both alpha blood.
Probably the wolf from Earth.
Yeah, same here. Since
considering smaller, it's going to be slightly faster
and stronger because not lose as much.
Basically, the dire wolf is just a bigger normal wolf.
Bigger normal wolf that's also got slightly weaker bones.
Yep.
and stuff due to the low gravity.
Although there is going to be a pretty big market for Martian animals.
Oh shoot! In that case, and for the Martian animals to be able to survive and properly live on Earth, then a lot of manual artificial selection is going to have to go on to be able to ensure that their genome is to a point where they are survivable on Earth.
Because every rich person is going to want a Martian dog.
That is a given.
'Tis be the greed of mankind.
That is a given. Also, there's also the other thing that you can remember the transfer time of there being there only being a window every 2 years, and the travel time during that time is still like 6 months.
No. Every 4 years, there's a 2-year window. There's a window which takes 2 years to use.
There's a window which lasts that long.
Which lasts about a month that you can take for 2 years. That takes 2 years to cross.
Here's the thing. In theory, we can cross that window within 6 months. In theory.
In theory, not in practice.
But remember, by the time when there is a market for Martian animal pets,
we'll have refined it a bit, but I doubt we're going to be able to do it that fast.
Wait, how big did Elon Musk say that the BFR is supposed to be able to get to Mars at the fastest?
Don't know.
Let me just quickly take a look.
Hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom quick, so.
Okay.
Alright.
We'll tell you what you miss when you get back.
How long will the BFR take to get to Mars?
Didn't he say something like a year or something like that?
Let me just
whatever it is.
Take a look.
It's still a long time for it to be. Hey, look out the window. Nothing but black for a year.
Yeah, the crew is gonna be need some.
The crew's
stuff.
gonna be. You better have enough games to keep them busy for a while.
Yeah, you better have enough games,
daily jobs, books, and music.
Yeah.
You don't want your crew going insane.
Yeah. Better pack a few extra different versions of Dark Souls.
Honestly, Dark Souls is really easy, and it would not be good because you're gonna want a lot of single player games that are easily replayable.
In that case, then we're gonna have to get
Everyone has good personal laptops with every Steam game they can download. Skyrim and Fallout are going to become very popular again.
Congratulations, Bethesda! We have found a way to revive some of your games. Send them to Mars.
Send them on the things that go to Mars.
Send them on the things that go to Mars and make a special space version that costs a lot. There you go. You're welcome.
There's no difference. There shouldn't be a difference in editions.
I mean, if the Starship edition of the game have some exclusive special. Oh fuck. My live stream thing just stopped.
Oh no.
Oh, never mind. It resumed. It got cut out for a moment.
So exclusive space
edition with exclusive content.
That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna make a lot of money.
Yes, it will.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. We just talked about how on the spaceships to Mars there's probably gonna be games with space edition with exclusive content. That's gonna make a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah. They probably will. Skyrim, Fallout, the Fallout series, multiplayer games are gonna die.
Yeah, they're gonna die slightly, but LAN might
Single
still be
players.
Fine. Local network. Games that supports local network multiplayer might still be fine depending on the size of the crew. And considering how Elon Musk's spaceship BFR is supposed to be able to carry at least 100 people comfortably. I don't think we're gonna have a shortage of people who play who's gonna play with you.
Mario Kart and Smash Bros.
Yeah, lots of Mario Kart. Nintendo get on the spaceship. I wanted to say space train, but I just realized how stupid that sounds.
It's a space train.
Yeah, just imagine playing like Smash,
but in space.
In space, like a Smash tournament. Oh,
that'd be fun. Actually, let's see. Here's
either really fun or just terrifying.
No one would have anything better to do with their time except get better. Oh my god, I just had an idea. Send people to space to train them for game tournaments. They literally have nothing else to do except for play games.
Oh yeah, there's also the other thing running. They're probably also gonna have to run a lot of training simulations to so that they're ready for whatever they're supposed to do once it gets here.
Of course.
Let me see.
And then exercise a lot.
Exercise a lot. So whoever's going to Mars is gonna have a. Okay. There's gotta be a part of. There's gotta be some point in this Wikipedia page where they say how long it should take for the thing to get from Earth to Mars. Okay, apparently one of the first of the 2 robotic cargo flights, the first of which will be named the Heart of Gold. You guys should probably get the reference. It's a spaceship from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Oh, not exactly relevant.
I know. We know.
Okay.
Or at least I know.
Yeah, there isn't much in here. Let me quickly pick it. Fine. How long does it take to get to Mars?
Phoenix is a robot.
Okay, journey takes about 300 days. Every 2 years, Mars is at the closest point. That's There's a question of how many light years is the Earth from Mars. I don't think you can measure that distance in light years. You're going to get a lot of decimal points.
Yes, a lot of decimal points.
12.5 light minutes. Does anyone want to try translating that to light years?
Nope. I don't want to do any more math than I have to.
Good. The closest possible approach is 39 days.
Yeah.
That would be the closest possible approach. Just to be conservative, let's multiply this by 3 as to the fastest time we can realistically get from Earth to Mars. About 3.5 months, let's say, was the most advanced technology we can make by then. Just to as a conservative end. Does it sound good?
Yep.
Okay, so now that we've established the issue of traveling, taking 3.5 months at least to travel from Earth to Mars.
Bare minimum.
It's a bare minimum. honestly, I'm not comfortable with getting that number any lower without angering some people. Actually, 39 days, that would translate to 4 months, actually, if you multiply that by 3. Yeah, 4 months being the bare minimum. That's a lot of months, now that I think about it. That's like 1.5 summer breaks. Oh god. The whatchamacallit. The existential crisis is starting to setting again.
Don't let the existential crisis sit again until you're in bed and going to sleep.
Good point.
Only time you let existential crises take over is at night, in the middle of the night, when you realize no one will ever remember you in a few years.
Ah.
Damn it.
In a few hundred years, you mean?
No.
Ah.
If you die, no one would ever remember you within a few years.
Ah. That'd be sad. Indeed.
It is.
Anyways,
let's get off the topic of existentialism and get back on the topic of Mars in general.
So, now we have a stable colony thingy-majiggy on Mars. And
what do we do with it? Do we mine? Do we grow food? What kind of resources do we pull from it?
I mean, it would make a lot of sense to mine stuff on Mars. And it will probably be one of the biggest Martian export. Mars is pretty much a untapped gold mine in terms of raw resources.
No, it is an untapped gold mine, quite literally.
You might not find as much gold there, but as you wish, but it is pretty much a literal untapped gold mine when it comes to economic wise. So
we will prices of resources will go down dramatically.
Assuming we can properly set up mining operations and stuff.
Yeah.
Or the prices may stay a bit high and the Martians gets really rich. That's also an option. Or at least it doesn't drop by that much. Since, the whole only once every 2 year thing. And it still takes forever to... And it still takes 1.5 summer breaks to get from 0 to here.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take a while.
So something that I've been wondering, we're all going by things in today's standards. But
yes.
Like, what happens if we wait, if we estimate something that's like, 10 years away, maybe 15?
Oh boy, the inflation! Let's not talk about that.
I'm talking about like technology standards, because
technology standards, that's
we have no idea.
In 10 or 15 years, we have no idea, but it is safe to assume that by then, electric vehicle will dominate the road.
Yeah.
And solar power will dominate in terms of the power generation on Earth. At least.
Because like in terms a lot of
and
2008 we were still using the Wii, and only 5 years later there was virtual reality, and then only 3 years later after that we're still experimenting with ways to find a more immersive experience with like
Infinitread, the omnidirectional treadmill.
And then you have things like
haptic glove.
Yeah, someone's already made like the gloves they have in the movie where like Ready Player One, where you grab something and you feel and it actually feels like you're holding something.
Yeah, someone actually made that.
It keeps your hands from moving.
Yeah, someone actually made that. A company, I think. Was it just called Haptic or something? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, and just in those like 5 years, we're gonna come so far. So right now,
our rate of improvement just keeps growing. It grows faster and faster every year.
It is exponential.
Like right now, our fastest space shuttle is about 23 Mach or Mach 23 or however you would say that.
Fastest rocket spaceship, not exactly space shuttle because those things are dead.
That's faster than Korra Sensei. All right. Let's just dwell on that.
Eventually we'll get even faster, but likely for the purpose of commercial flight, getting into space, we're probably gonna stay at about 23 times the speed of sound. For those of you who don't know what Mach means, just to keep things simple. Personally, I think for commercial space flight, we're gonna stay around that speed just so that the ride-off is still kind of comfortable.
Yeah, and so people don't die from the shock of going that fast and the amount of G's they're gonna have to pull.
Yeah, remember that. In terms of cargo, we might even
like cargo ships. We might have those guys moving insanely fast.
We might even just build a giant ass railgun and just launch it with a railgun. Forget about propellants. Electromagnetic mass drivers.
As cool as that would be, what happens when it gets to Earth, Phoenix?
Yeah.
I know, impractical, but it sounds cool, so there's that.
I mean, hey, look, Elon Musk is a great man. He'll probably think of something.
Yeah, he'll probably think of something. But electromagnetic mass driver, I'll admit, it is not very realistic when it comes to actually trying to get to Mars.
It's just fun to think about.
It's just fun to think about. I mean, eventually we might have some sort of electromagnetic mass driver highway between Earth and Moon, but we're probably not gonna be there anytime.
That's not something that's gonna happen. That's just not something that's realistic.
Yeah, it's just not exactly realistic. But yeah, it is kind of out there. A thing that we can think about and imagine how cool it is. So yeah, there's that. I think we kind of reached the end of the line here.
I think we've reached what we can discuss with this topic, so
yeah. So
I mean, we could try power supply. We could
keep going.
We could keep going, but that would just get way too off track from the original question.
The original question was Biosphere, and now we're talking about transporting cargo. So I think we've gone far enough.
Which technically, although would be an important part of constructing the Biosphere in the first place, but it is kind of a stretch. So I guess we've gotten to the point where
we're discussing other topics.
So
we should probably stop this here.
So yeah. Anyways,
and then
this has been If, and in conclusion to our discussion, we're good.
It's possible, but very impractical.
It's possible, but very impractical and very difficult to construct artificial biospheres. So it would probably be easier to just build a bunch of hydroponic farms and living modules, as well as some garden greenhouses for the visual part, just to make things look pretty things up as a more practical solution to.
And then we terraform the entire planet,
rather than trying to terraform a small chunk or even the entire planet.
Well, this has been If. Come back next Friday for another topic that you get to vote on. Oh yeah, join the Discord. Join the Discord, you can participate in these discussions too.
Yep.
But we do this every Friday?
Yeah, we do this every Friday.
Oh, that's
awesome. Anyways, I hope to see you all here by next Friday, and if you'd like, subscribe, share, comment, do whatever you people do now. Anyways, it is I, your host. It it has been If, and thank you to all of our guests today for contributing to the discussion and staying with us this entire time. And as always, thank you. And I will see you
next time.
Next time. Let me just quickly end the thing. Welcome to the
Are we
post.
Yeah, we do this every Friday.
Yeah.